And now, for your listening pleasure, here's Polizzi and Rose, covering the week of media, marketing, and digital content news. This Old Marketing. Take it away, boys.
Hello, my friends. This is Robert Rose, and welcome to episode number 344 of This Old Marketing for October 6th, 2022. And with me, as always, my good friend, my colleague, and, one of the only guys that didn't fall for the Kim Kardashian promotion of Ethereum Max, Mr. Joe Polizzi.
But I was close.
Were you?
No. Are you kidding me? I've never seen...
You didn't take Kim's word for it and do a big investment in Ethereum Max?
I probably have seen a couple pictures of Kim Kardashian, and that's it. I've never seen her on social media. I know there's a show on. I've never seen it. Called The Kardashians, I guess. See, I'm so out of it.
That's it. That's correct. Yes, that's correct.
But yes, I don't know. But I did read the article because one of our community members sent me a note and said, "Hey, if we promote Tiltcoin, are we going to get in trouble like Kim Kardashian?" Just like,
right. Well, the answer to that is, are you Kim Kardashian? And then they say no, and it's like, I think you're pretty safe. But there's going to be a crackdown. I think she's the example the SEC wanted to make an example of. Right?
I totally agree with that. They were absolutely picking on her because she is a celebrity, and everybody's going to
afford it.
We've sort of got to figure it out. That's why if you focus on utility coins and utility tokens, I think you're in the clear. And anytime you start talking about price and investment and pumping it up and stuff, you're in trouble. Like we all, and you
that's
and I,
right.
We've talked about this with ours. You just have to be careful, and you have to have a disclaimer, and you have to. This is not a get rich quick. You're not giving financial advice. This is all tokens for access. If that's the case,
that's
you're
right.
okay. But then, again, who cares about us? Like nobody.
That's right. I looked at my Rally account the other day for the first time in a couple of weeks and was like, yeah, all right, that's that's not interesting. That's just uninteresting as it comes to value.
Well, it's tough. At some point, we can probably talk about all this stuff, but it's been difficult for us with Tiltcoin because it's working. Things are working the way that we wanted it to, but the attachment to the Rally token has been very challenging. And that's really what you're talking about, and so we've got to figure.
Well, it's not only that, but it's the choices. It's some of the choices that Rally has decided to make in terms of the way that they operate, which I can't necessarily blame them given the market conditions about the way that they have to operate, and they may have gotten a little ahead of their skis in terms of how many creators they decided to, stake.
Sure.
As part of their initial outlay, and given where the price of Rally Coin is now, I can see why they would want to pull back on that, right? In terms of quote unquote paying dividends, but let's just call the communication there less than good.
Yes, and all that, and. I've personally been.
I know you can't say a lot. I can say more. Because of where I sit. You have to say less because of where you sit. So totally understandable.
Not just that, but because we, as our whole team at the Tilt, are trying to figure out what we should be doing. Do we continue to go with where we're going, and is it going to be okay? And do we hope for the best, or are we a little bit more strategic about where we're going? Make some decisions, because there's I'm not going to get into the whole social tokens thing, but there are a couple you could do different things. You could say,
of course,
you could say, hey, I want to stay with the Web 2ish type feel. There's companies like Rally and Minted that do that. If you want to go with the true Web 3 feel, there's companies like Roll and even Coinvise and other ones that do that for you, where you need a little bit more programming expertise, but there's lots of different options depending on your flavor and kind of where your community sits in terms of how advanced they are into Web3. Because if they don't know anything, it's going to be very tough for you to educate them and get them involved in, Web3, digital wallets, and all that stuff.
Well, and I think right now, it's not just understanding, it's caring, right? I mean, to quote the classic Homer Simpson, just because I understand doesn't mean I care. And so even if your audience is relatively savvy enough to pull in, multiple wallets and figure it all out, and you've got the developers to be able to do that, right now you've got a level of cynicism and sort of, uninterest right now because of where crypto sits in terms of the price that it's at. So there's a general sort of, feeling of malaise, I think, about the whole, and this, by the way, extends into NFTs. I think it extends into, you're starting to see a real pullback and pushback on the idea of the metaverse. Tim Cook was recently out there saying, nobody understands what a metaverse is. What the hell is that? So I think it's a, I mean, as you would say, I think it's a perfect time to think about investing, because all of these things are more than likely to come to pass in some form. And it's a time to experiment because it's low cost to experiment. Yep. But I think it's tough to build momentum right now.
True, and this is when builders build. Like, this is the time that you get your act together if you really want to get going. I was at an event last night, and I was talking with a bunch of Web3 people that were really, really involved in it, and they were saying, wow, this is just the greatest time ever in crypto. You wouldn't think that. People from the outside would say, oh, my God, I mean, the market's been devastated and there's no innovation. There's so much innovation going on in the space right now. People have just got their heads down. They're not worried about price, which is great. It's exactly what happened in 08 and 09 during the Great Recession.
Right. That's
when some of the greatest companies that we're using right now came about. And before that, in 2001. So, yeah. So anyways, good for that. But yeah, I have to apologize. You and I were talking before the show. I'm on fumes right now. We did Pam and I did our 4 or 5 city tour in 10 days. And I literally just got off the plane, texted you and said, let's do a podcast, man. let's get this thing going. No,
you sound just fine, mister.
Yeah, because
you sound
I'm a professional.
Just fine.
That's kind of how we that's how we roll.
Well, let's not go that far, okay? Let's not stretch the truth.
But no, we just came from New Orleans, had a great time. I love the city of New Orleans. It was even better because it was perfect weather and it wasn't crowded. Like, our hotel was when we got to our hotel on Sunday, Monday, what was it? Whatever day it was, I was talking to one of the workers there. It was 9% capacity. I went and worked out the next morning, and I was up there for an hour, and nobody was there. And the most beautiful view of the Caesars Superdome and the Smoothie King Arena.
There you go.
So anyways, yeah, I'm kind of trying to figure it out, but still.
And sad because your Browns lost. I
was there. Did I tell you I was there? Is that the game?
I saw the pictures on Facebook, but yeah, there you go.
So that was one of our stops. So we, unfortunately, we had a death in the family, and we were in the Pinehurst, North Carolina area, and then we went to meet some friends. All the other stuff had been planned after that. We went to meet some friends in Minneapolis. My oldest met us up there, went on 10 roller coasters at 2 parks. Fantastic. Then immediately flew down to Atlanta, and we were only in Atlanta for the game. So flew into Atlanta, went on the MARTA, which is their subway, found a parking lot where there were basically all Browns fans partying. I would imagine that the Browns played the Atlanta Falcons, and I would imagine that 30% of the fans there were Browns fans. It almost felt like a home game. For the Browns.
All right. With about 30% of being Browns fans. It felt like a home game.
In the day,
yeah, there you go.
In the day when we were really, really bad and we played the Steelers, there'd be 50 to 70% Steelers fans at Brown Stadium. Not anymore.
There you go.
But we went down there, and it was it was perfect weather. The Mercedes-Benz Stadium is a work of art. It's basically they can close that dome and 15 minutes or 20 minutes.
It's cool. It's cool there. Yeah.
Not a bad seat in the house. Domestic beers were $8, which may sound like a lot.
There you
but they're
go.
not. That's like really cheap for a stadium. I think it's the cheapest beer you can buy in any stadium in the country. And everything was great except we lost.
Yeah,
So
there you go. In Browns fashion, everything's great until you lose.
Isn't it something? So anyways, did that and then headed to New Orleans from there, and I spoke at an event called Digital Now, which is a great event run by an association company called Sidecar. They were
That's right.
about 200.
Not to be forgotten, their sister event, Digital Then.
No, you could really have multiple events. You could have Digital Now,
Right.
Digital Then, and Digital When. And
You could have You could have Digital Next 10 Minutes. You could have Digital I'm Waiting for the Bus. There's a whole subfamily of brands you could go with there. Yeah.
so, anyways, I really enjoyed that event. They put on a great show. I was talking about Web3. And so the whole first day was AI. So our friend Paul Raitzer from Marketing AI Institute,
fantastic.
he was speaking there, and a lot of friends that I've met over the years. And then yesterday was Web3, and I did my unconventional publishing strategies in the Web3 era.
Dun dun
So
dun.
I'm very proud of that.
And did Kim Kardashian come up? Did Kim Kardashian come up in that discussion?
Not big in the association crowd.
I see.
But what they asked the question at the beginning of the day, and so let's say 200 people are in the audience, all from associations, mostly association executive ranks, and they said, how many of you have a digital wallet, like a Web3 digital wallet, like a MetaMask? And about 6 people raised their hands.
Oh my. Yeah, there you go. So
of course, when I got up there talking about Web3, they were just blown away, man.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Just eating it up.
It was unbelievable.
Yeah, absolutely. Reinforcing your reputation as a professional.
Of course.
Really, it's what.
Yes, of course. But anyways, So before we go on, I know we talked about my Browns. I'm loving the Cooper Rush Cowboys. I really am.
It's at that. We've got, as they've been saying here on the local blogs, we've got rush hour ahead of us. It's
God.
It's pretty good. No, they've been playing very well. I mean, the defense is playing lights out. I mean, they're just insane. The defense is and honestly is why the Cowboys are winning games. Because the offense has been fine, right? It's been pedestrian. But he's not losing.
He's a game manager.
What's happening?
And he's managing it.
Definitely,
he's not throwing interceptions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And he's just letting the players play, and it's working. So they have a real test coming up. I mean, the Commanders are not really a test, but the Rams, Super Bowl champs, they're coming up this weekend. So this will be the real test to see if they can actually play at the level that they have to be playing at. To really make a run.
Yeah,
so,
I'm
excited.
The Rams are not the team they were last year. So
they were not, or they are not, I should say. Yeah, that is correct. That is correct. But there you have it.
All right. All right. Good.
All right. Well, we've got a great show, a fun show. Perfect for your jet lag. That's for sure. We're going to start by talking, of course, about the biggest news of the week, the huge news of the week, the really the only giant news of the week, which is, of course, a friend and family of the show. Of course, he loves this show. Elon Musk has volunteered, says the headline, to buy Twitter at the original price. I think he's volunteering kind of like I volunteer to take the garbage out. And so we'll also talk a little bit about how some acquisitions have happened in the last week. Fandom has bought some sites, dug around the bargain bin basement, and made a number of acquisitions here, and very interesting sort of trend going on there. We'll talk about Facebook, our friends at Meta, and how they are winding down the newsletter service that we only talked about and introduced on this show actually last year, and then how they're also starting to sell new ad units maybe even add units on your personal profile page, which would be very interesting. And then if we have time, we'll talk a little bit about how Punchbowl has started to really expand their publishing and their content strategy based on the success that they've had. And we've talked a little bit about them before.
Yes, we have. Absolutely.
Joe, you're going to rave a little bit about Amazon, which shocked.
I know,
shocked.
right?
And then maybe continue your commentary, some of your observations from the road.
You got to wait. You got to stick around for the great observations. Lots of great learnings from the road. Yes. And what are you going to talk about?
And then I'm going to rave a little bit about the new CMI research on the content marketing salary. So just some fascinating stuff there, and I'm very proud of the team for being able to put together that research. Is just really good stuff. So a chock-a-block, a bountiful, a October-ish fall cornucopia of stories to talk about here.
Maybe that's the title for the show. A cornucopia of content.
A corn of copiousness.
Morbius.
Corn of copiousness. Okay. Yeah, there we
go.
All
right, let's rock and roll. What do we got?
Good.
What's
All
Mr.
Right.
what's our best friend up to these days?
Yeah. Well, we'll try and keep you awake with this one. This is Elon Musk. Basically, this comes to us courtesy of Axios, although just about every single website on the planet is leading with this. Elon Musk has offered to proceed with the Twitter deal. Big news this week, and basically a story that's evolving even as we sort of talk about here. The article opens up by saying Elon Musk has offered to proceed with a $44 billion buyout of Twitter, according to a letter his lawyer sent to Twitter's legal team and was submitted to regulators on Tuesday. Driving the news is that according to the letter, Musk has agreed to proceed in closing the transaction in accordance with the other April 25 merger agreement that he originally signed, which basically promised to pay $54.20 per share. The agreement would preempt a trial. I don't think it's going to do that. That had been scheduled for October, tied to Musk's efforts to walk away from his original acquisition agreement. The letter stipulates, however, that the deal hinges on the receipt of debt financing, as well as the Delaware Chancery Court entering an immediately stay of the action, adjourning the pending trial, and all other legal proceedings related to closing the deal. Dun, dun, dun. Mm-hmm. So I think there are so many media outlets that are just missing the point here. But what do you?
Well, I mean, it was very what do you call it, Muskian of Elon.
Musky.
Yeah,
it's that musky scent. Yeah, it's that musky scent.
Obviously, he knew that he was going to lose this case, and go figure. When you actually sign a legal document, sometimes it holds up. So, he thought that, and we've talked about this all the time on the show, he thought he could get out of it. Obviously couldn't. The Delaware, I think it was Delaware court system that this was in.
The Chancery Court, yeah, absolutely. Because it's all incorporated in Delaware. That's why it's there.
So there's that, and so instead of actually going through and getting the, hey, you're going to have to buy it, he just backed off and said, oh, I've changed my mind. I'm actually going to buy it now because I'm such a cool dude. It is interesting, though, to me, how, I know there's an agreement done or whatever, but I really do feel like this Twitter executive team wants to get rid of Twitter because they're just done innovating. Like, they're not, like, it's funny, I was looking at Review the other day. Review's the newsletter service that they purchased.
That's right, yep.
There's been literally no innovation that's happened.
None. Zero.
In that product.
Yep.
And it just seems like everything has been put on hold. But even before Elon got involved, things have been put on hold. And even there's so much that could be done with Spaces, especially with what's happened with Clubhouse. I mean, they could take that, and now you got LinkedIn coming in, you've got other entities coming in trying to take over that audio space. I just, I don't know what this, and I don't know if it's in the other article that we're going to put in, but what's this everything app that Elon thinks he's going to create out of Twitter? Because that's what I heard. And because I think I texted you a couple days ago when this came out, and I'm listening to whatever broadcast was on in the hotel room I was listening to, and they were saying, oh, he wants this Holdings X company that Elon has, and he wants to launch this everything app. What is that?
Yeah.
Is that like an everything bagel? What is?
Yeah, well, kinda. Yeah, it is. It is kinda. I mean, it is. So there is the concept of the super app, right?
Yes.
And and so there, and this is big in, especially in Asia, where there are super apps, where you can do everything, WeChat's a great example of this, where you can do everything on that platform, including book a ride like Uber, chat with your friends like Snapchat, pay for stuff with a payment option like Square, and it sort of combines all of this functionality into one app. And there has been a lot of discussion, of course, in the US about, are there opportunities for super apps to exist here? Because none of them, Twitter, Facebook, Google, have made any real attempts at creating a super app. Uber's probably the closest thing that there is to one right now, because you can get food delivery, you can get picked up,
Yep.
And theoretically you can do a number of things with Uber, but Twitter plus a Square type payment system plus some other functionality could easily become a super app. The challenge is, of course, here in the US that, none of the hardware providers, and there really are only two here, we're talking about Google and Android and Apple, really want that to happen, right? They don't want that. They don't want anybody to have that much power. So they haven't really, and it, by the way, takes away a lot of the, viability or power of the actual hardware provider. So they're not really interested in seeing something like that happen. So it's been difficult. And I think the chances of this happening with Twitter are slim to none, especially given, the fact that, Elon bought this thing like, I pay my taxes, right? It's like, I can pay $20 billion and basically own nothing, or I can pay $44 billion and own something. So
Sure.
It wasn't a choice, right? I mean, it was basically, you are going to lose and have to write a big check to somebody. And now that it's, quote unquote, back on, basically he's gone, all right, I want to own something, so I'll basically pay the price that I was supposed to pay. There is exactly zero incentive for the board of Twitter or the Twitter shareholders or anybody to say, no, it's not going to be anything less than $54.20. Like, it's not going to be $54.19. It's going to be $54.20. Else pay us, right? Else pay the money. Because there's no incentive for them to. This is where he, I think, completely misplayed the whole thing, because now there is no negotiated settlement. Basically, there's no reason for them to settle for anything less than the agreed upon.
Oh, you
price.
mean you thought that maybe he could have come back and said, I'll pay
early on. I think early on
there was that opportunity.
Yeah, early on,
Yes.
I think he could have come back and said, I'm going to write you a giant check for $20 billion and walk away, right? And promise I won't invest anymore, and basically pay the difference of the valuation. And they could have pocketed a bunch of money and put into cash reserves and maybe rebuilt the company. But not now. Not now. That's not going to happen. Now, the ones that are really SOL here is Morgan Stanley, right? Morgan Stanley's way out in jeopardy here, because they got all these loans. They leveraged all this debt financing that Twitter's going to take on as part of this takeover, $12 billion worth, basically at rates that were like, 3 or 4 rate hikes ago.
Oh, geez, that's right.
So,
that was a while. That was when they were.
and so
way
now you think about it, Twitter's going to now have to service. This is the number that really just blows me away. If you think about this, Twitter under Musk will now have to service that $12 billion worth of debt every year to the tune of, $1.5 to $2 billion every year in just interest. And so,
different. Yeah, but they'll be able.
do?
I mean, but.
They'll refinance it. They'll refinance it to some point.
But also, when I would imagine when the market goes back up, whenever that is, Elon might be a little bit more inclined to pay that off and just be done with it, because he has the money.
Maybe. He could do that, which of course then affects his Tesla stock and all of that. So, yes, it would save him cash, but then it might affect the Tesla stock, because Tesla shareholders are going, what the hell, right? What, right about now. Because this is not going to be good publicity for them. And so you end up with this situation where he just bought a boat. Basically, he just bought a big boat that he's going to have to pay a lot of money. But we haven't talked about is whatever investment he's going to put into it to actually shore up all of the innovation that you just talked about, right? How much money are they going to have to spend on hiring innovative engineers and or, actual acquisitions of other companies to actually do something that makes the platform a super app, right? Just the numbers are really, really hard here.
Well, you've got to think that as a private company, they might be able to do a little bit better than they have as a public company.
Oh, of course.
But here's the deal.
That's the first thing he'll do.
Here's the thing.
That's the first
Elon
thing
is
he'll
not going to run this company. Elon is going to have to find somebody to run the company because Elon is too busy doing his other things. And he doesn't know.
Well,
he doesn't know about the space. He's got to find somebody that actually can understand and put these things together. My concern is that he was so big on this, let's just get all the voices on the platform with no whatever moderation, that it's going to become more of a cesspool than it already is. And it's going to be a problem.
Yeah.
That's my big concern, that I'll lose the Twitter that I love, that you and I like to use. But who knows? I don't know.
I think it's all up in the air. I mean, the other thing that we haven't really, talked about and hasn't been talked about is, the Chancery Court basically said today, as we record this, they said, well, okay, yeah, that's all nice and everything, but we're still going to trial.
Nobody's told us to not sue back. That's right.
Yeah, it's like we're still on track for this trial that's supposed to happen this month, and we're not canceling anything until So this could all be sort of a weird legal dance that because basically the Twitter board has to come back with all those conditions met. Like, we're going to cancel the lawsuit, we're going to do all this, we're going to do all of that, and then he could flake again and just delay it out even more. It's I don't know the legalities of all of that and what that would entail, but I suspect what's going to happen here is that they're going to settle and he's going to own the company. And I think, to your point, he's going to have to find somebody to run this thing, and that's the interesting, so one of the things that came out this week were all the text messages between him and his friends and colleagues and people talking about this leading up to it. So, which did two things. One is, it actually made him look pretty sane, and, he was basically warning people off to, like, what are you trying to do, in terms of marketing the investment in this? That's not right. But then it just showed how many of the Silicon Valley executives just bow at the feet of Elon Musk, that Musky scent, and who want to be in the business of Elon Musk, and they just they're all positioning themselves, right? So many of them are positioning themselves to be involved in this in some way, because it gives them access and it gives them power of some kind. So you've got to figure there's a number of people here who could be considered for CEO positions.
Yeah, you would think so. I guess that if I ever want to know for sure if it's a public company and whether the deal is going to go through, you want to look and see how close the current price is to the sale price. Sale price is $54.20, right? Now, and I'm looking at it, Twitter stock is at $50.78. So there's a good $3.50 of wiggle room in there that there's a lot of doubt out there yet whether this is going to happen. So we will see. Something crazy. It's Elon, so something crazy could absolutely happen. But I mean,
well, it is crazy. But again, it comes back to there's no incentive for the board to go. He can come back and go, well, I'll give you $50 a share now, and the board's going to go, no, let's go to court. I mean, they have no incentive, because, by the way, even if the board were interested in doing that, the shareholders are not. You've got the folks at BlackRock, who own a huge percentage of this. The BlackRock
overwhelmingly
folks
voted for.
No,
everybody.
Yeah,
voted
this
for
is right at $54.20. There is no reason for us to come down one penny. I mean, because otherwise we just get free money, right? We either get free money or we get $54.20 for the sale of Twitter. There is no in between.
Yeah, no, I do not want free money. That's said no one ever.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we will see. We'll probably have an answer.
We will see.
In the next
this
2 months.
week, I would think.
I don't know. You never know. But yes, it should be very soon.
It should be pretty soon, because this is good. They need to move fast because they need to cancel the court date. Because the last thing, the whole reason for this is Musk's lawyers walking in and saying, "Dude, you're going to lose, right? So you don't want all the you don't want to lose and have all this information about you personally coming out. So, you might as well pay the money.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
That's enough Musky discussion.
That's enough Musky scent. Yeah. That maybe that's the title of the show this week. The Musky scent of Twitter. The Musky scent of Twitter.
Wow. That's
pretty good.
It is good. It doesn't help with search engine optimization because I don't think anybody's searching for that, but it is interesting.
Well,
and all that we don't care about people
good.
finding the show. We just want to be interesting. So
That's right. All right, so let's move on to our next story here, which is an acquisition one, just like we just talked about. But this one a little bit different. Fandom, the, I guess, media company you would call them, they're buying 7 media properties from Red Ventures, which we've talked about on the show. Red Ventures, the sort of the largest media company you've never heard about. Buying 7 media companies from Red Ventures, even more blockchain, domain options, e-commerce business models, and all of this kind of stuff. They made a big acquisition here. So Fandom, which is a public, I guess, owned by a public company, just acquired large content sites from Red Ventures, this private media company that owns properties such as Lonely Planet, CNET, and others. And then basically, as TechCrunch has reported here, $55 million was the acquisition price for the following properties: GameSpot, not GameStop, but GameSpot, as I was correctly corrected by my friend Joe Polizzi. GameSpot, Metacritic, TV Guide, wow, that huge brand, Game FAQs, Giant Bomb, which was a very popular site back in the day, Cord Cutter News, and Comic Vine. So those, in addition to a couple of other smaller ones, maintain the portfolio that they just bought of this, basically saying they were going to buy up all of these domains and sites and start to envelop them into the larger ecosystem of what they're doing. What say you about all of this? This seems like the aggregation we've been talking about happening, consolidation happening that we've been talking about for some months.
Exactly right. And we're going to see more and more of this. If you look at the numbers with the, what is it? GameSpot, 75 million monthly visitors.
Yeah.
Metacritic, 16 million. TV Guide, I mean, still 18 million visitors a month. That's not shabby.
Right.
That's pretty good.
That's a real business.
I don't know what the revenue figures are for these. I mean, they're ad-driven sites, of course, but it looks like a bargain. I mean, it looks like they just bought a ton of traffic. And if they can just optimize a little bit, it's quite a deal that they've been able to do this.
Yeah.
And that's where it's funny, because I told you about this before the show. My first unconventional publishing strategy when I was talking to these association leaders were exactly what we're talking about. A company like a Fandom going out, not for necessarily 55 million, but there's 5-figure deals, there's 6-figure deals, there's 7-figure deals. And if you're an association, you should be looking at the media properties, content creators, content entrepreneurs in your industry and purchase them and go out and do that. And I had 2 association executives come up to me after I presented, because I also presented on Web3. I thought they were going to come up about that. They said, "Oh my God, that first one blew me away because we've just never thought about that before." And you and I have run into this a million times where marketing executives and chief marketing officers, they just don't think about acquisitions with their growth strategy. They just don't even think about it. It's just not even a thing. And so I ran into it yesterday with associations. And the majority of the companies that you're seeing doing this are media companies, and media companies have always done it because it's always been a core part of a publishing strategy. And then you get HubSpot and Salesforce and Arrow and a couple other handful of companies. But I just don't see a lot of the bigger brands out there doing this, and they should. I mean, there's so many amazing things for sale right now, and it's not being done.
Well, I think we've talked about this a lot. There's no doubt about that. But here's the flip side of that I'm starting to think about even more these days. What about the brand that has built an amazing thought leadership, maybe from an acquisition, maybe just organically? They built an amazing thought leadership platform or a publication that's getting millions or whatever levels of traffic make total sense for that industry or that niche. and they're not selling the company, but they want to sell the platform.
Sure.
Right? They literally just want to, they don't have use for it anymore. They're losing resources. They want to focus in on a new product set. There could be myriad business reasons to do this. But a company like, I think of a company like SAP, or a company like, IBM or Microsoft, or, I know I'm naming all technology companies, but, or Casper mattresses, right? With their publication, where they've built a viable thing. They've built a viable publication with a subscribed audience and numbers, et cetera, et cetera. Why aren't they flipping these things, right? How often have we said, oh, they're killing a thing, right? They're killing this platform because it didn't work from a marketing perspective. But it's still getting great traffic. It's still getting great engagement, but it doesn't match the strategy anymore. The one that comes leaping to mind here that was such an opportunity missed is Intel and their Intel by or IQ by Intel.
Intel IQ, yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which
and they
was
just
a
shut it
case
down,
study.
didn't they?
Yeah, it was a case study for so long in terms of what a great technology magazine could look like at the brand level. And so IQ, it's got its own content brand, it's got its own audience. It was getting millions of visits. I don't think it had a ton of subscribers, but it did have a level of subscription to it. Beautiful editorial, beautiful site. Intel, instead of killing it, could have flipped it out. And even if they made a few $1 million from it, that's a few $1 million than they made, than they didn't make. And why aren't more brands thinking this way in terms of the fact that they're building assets that can actually be sold, maybe not to a competitor, but certainly to somebody, off that's an adjacent market or something.
I can tell you exactly why. Because they don't think of it as an asset.
Right. That's my point. That's the real point there.
It's unbelievable, and that's why it's not done. Right. Its whole thing is they don't understand that if you build an audience of loyal subscribers, there's multiple ways to monetize that, and they just don't think about that. Think about, what's the next campaign? And I don't want to simplify. There's a lot of really
or
smart
multiple
CMOs
ways
out
that
there.
somebody else could monetize it. Right. Even taking it one step further, maybe you didn't monetize it in a particular way, but it's got the opportunity to be monetized in a different way if it just belonged to a different company.
What was Verizon had? Was it Sugar String or something like that? Remember, they were up for like 30 or 60 days, and then Verizon just shut it down because they got into some controversy over covering something. But that was a case, and I think we even talked about it. This happened like 6 or 7 years ago. They just stopped it. Yep, we're killing it. Didn't work. We just put $5 million into it, and I mean, you could have recouped some money from that, but they just don't. They just don't do it. But yeah, I mean, I've talked about it in presentations about Inbound from HubSpot, and you've got Dreamforce from Salesforce. Both of them just happened. Both of them worth many, many, many millions of dollars. They could. At one point, I think that in 2018-19, we were talking about, because of all the sponsorship sales and all the people there and everything. I mean, that was $1 billion event. Was Dreamforce? You could sell that for $1 billion if you really looked at all the assets involved in that. So yeah, it's just.
I mean, it's great. I mean, and I think, your point about the buy side of this as well, right? Where, so many, I've had this conversation a lot with marketing teams about wanting to build something organically, call it a blog, call it a resource center, call it a library, call it a podcast, call it a, whatever it is. And, you can literally hear it in their voice where they're excited to do something new, but the fatigue, the sort of pre-fatigue in their voice, like, it's going to be so much work to build an audience on this new thing.
Yes.
They're just like, how are we going to build the business case for our boss to believe in this for 24 months while we build the audience? And it's like, why not just go out and acquire something that's already giving you a head start? It's just like, it means a little more upfront. You're investing a little more upfront, but you're getting that time and money investment into something that could immediately provide instant value. Plus, by the way, talent acquisition in many ways.
Exactly. Well, this is where, if marketers had more of a publishing background, this would not be an issue. But marketers don't, and they don't understand. If you grow up in publishing and you say, oh, we're going to come up with this thing, before you do all the work and start creating the thing, you do research to see if the thing or something close to it is around, already exists, and then your first move is, let's go see if we can get it. Before we spend all this, before we spend literally 12 to 18 to 24 months until we build an audience that's going to throw off any kind of return on investment for us. So
that's right. And I think part of that challenge is, as a marketing guy and a marketing guy for 30 years, I think one of the biggest challenges is that the perception, the brand, quote unquote, of marketing in most organizations is that most marketers feel like the minute you use the word acquisition, that's above their pay grade, right? It's beyond what I have any control over. When in fact, the numbers that we're talking about here, the marketing department almost assuredly spends more than you would spend in an acquisition in any quarter, right? I mean, the example I use is HubSpot's acquisition of The Hustle. If you do the numbers and I know they're private companies, in terms of the acquisition, but if you do the numbers on the whatever the published numbers were, basically their acquisition of The Hustle was about 6% of their yearly marketing spend. And so these are not moonshots, right? These are not the kinds of things that are going to break the company. These are things that you would, you'd spend $10 million on in marketing over the course of the year, or $1 million or $100,000 or whatever your budget is. The acquisition of these things is going to be less than that, much less than that.
Oh yeah, and then we did 3 acquisitions, and we talked about this before, at Content Marketing Institute, and one was low 6 figures, one was mid 6 figures. So that was a big one over multiple years, and then one was a small 5-figure deal, and they all worked out. And you just, I mean, who knows where CMI would be if we didn't have those things that really took us to the next level. And I just want more people to think about it. So that's why every time there's something in the news on this, we're like, we've got to keep talking about it, because people listening to this podcast need to start doing something. They already know how adamant we are about it, but I just don't see enough of it happening.
Right.
So.
That's right. All right. Well, let's move on to something that is related to this, which is fascinating. It's almost like we plan these stories. We're going to talk in this next story about Facebook winding down one of its new services. Now, last year in the summertime, we talked about Facebook launching a new newsletter service, the Bulletin, as it was called, and it featured, writers like Malcolm Gladwell and Mitch Albom and all of that. Well, Facebook has announced that this new Bulletin platform, their newsletter service, is being shuttered. It's being, shut down. And so, as the article says, this is from the New York Times, by the way, we'll put in the show notes. Facebook is shuttering its Bulletin subscription service, ending its attempt to compete with Substack and other newsletter services. Facebook, which is now part of the parent company Meta, which just makes me giggle every time I read that sentence, has contacted writers within the program to tell them that the Bulletin platform will be wound down by early next year. Can you imagine you're Malcolm Gladwell and you've put like really a good amount of investment into this whole thing, and now all of a sudden you get an email on Thursday afternoon, you're having your coffee, and all of a sudden, this thing that we wanted you to be a huge part of, we're just going to kill it. Bye-bye. Basically, as the quote from Facebook said, Bulletin has allowed us to learn about the relationship between creators and their audiences and how to better support them in building their community on Facebook. The company confirmed in a statement on Tuesday. That quote, I love that quote so much. Bulletin has allowed us to learn about the relationship between creators and their audiences and how to better support them in building their community. In other words, they don't want us. Basically,
that's exactly right. It's like, and we realize that we aren't a part of this equation.
Exactly. We have realized that we suck at this. So basically, we're going to shut this thing down. A company spokesperson said. There you go. So what is your take on this thing?
More and more. Well, first of all, let's just pay homage to the fact that Facebook is an amazing technology and has done a little good for the world. Mostly harm, I think. But anyways, brought a lot of people together. A lot of people use Facebook. Amazing. But the majority of things that Facebook has created have not worked. And you could even go into I mean, a lot of people are questioning this move to whatever Mark Zuckerberg thinks is the metaverse, which nobody seems to agree
things that they've
with.
acquired have worked, and the things that they've built have not. Basically, is the headline
exactly.
from Facebook.
And by the way, this is quick. This started in June, and they already shuttered it. So they make quick decisions on this one. I think that before we go further into this one, you need to go into the next news article, because that really tells the tale of what they're good at.
Exactly. So as we talked about, we're going to pair this with another Meta story, because this one includes both Facebook and Instagram, and this comes to us courtesy of Digiday, although there is a number of media outlets that are also writing about this. It says Meta is rolling out several new types of ads this month to win more of the advertiser digital video marketing budgets away from competitors and to hit online shoppers ahead of the holiday season. Several executives from Meta's global business group unveiled a series of new ad products for Instagram and Facebook, noting opportunities in the platform's vertical video product Reels, Instagram's Explore pages, and users' individual profiles during a press event in Monday in the New York City office down in Hudson Yards. It opens up inventory on nearly every single page of Instagram and Facebook apps, a move that could theoretically help push down Meta's ad prices and make it easier for advertisers to stomach how Apple's anti-tracking changes have hampered Facebook and Instagram targeting's performance. They did not reveal pricing for this new inventory at the press events. Basically, the article goes on to talk about those new ad formats, which include in-profile ads on Instagram, ads on the Instagram Explore page, multi-advertiser ad carousels on Instagram, post-loop ads in Facebook Reels, ad carousels at the bottom of Facebook Reels, and integrating AR into feeds and ads and stories. It goes on to talk about how some people are griping about this. I think if I see an ad on my profile, I might throw up a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
But yeah, here's something funny. Just total aside, because I totally want to get your take on this. Part of my research every week is to obviously go into the Twitter feed and search hashtag this old marketing. And basically look at all the ideas, and thank you, by the way, again, for the millionth time for all those wonderful ideas. And I looked through it. There are ads in that. Somebody's buying our hashtag for advertising, or at least not avoiding it. I don't know how that works.
I didn't even know you can target a hashtag. This is how much I know about Facebook ads.
Oh, I think you can. Okay. Yeah, on Twitter you can definitely target hashtags. But somebody's buying that. Sometimes it's an insurance company, sometimes it's been a tech company. Yeah, it's fascinating. Anyway, what do you think about this whole ads on your profile thing?
All right. So first of all, my first instinct when I read this was, oh my God, it's IOI from Ready Player One. That's my first thing. It's like, how do we get, how many ads can we sell? But I'm going to tell you a personal story. This has happened quite a few times. So when I started early in magazine publishing, and when we would see some of our publishing print brands that weren't doing well, you could really look at the ad to edit ratio. So when, for whatever reason, they weren't selling ads and the ads weren't working out, you'd see more and more ads and less content. And it would be a sure warning sign that bad things were going to happen. So it'd start with, this is a 100-page publication, and you have, 50 ads, great 50-50 ratio. And then, we didn't get as many ads, so we're going to bring it down. We're going to folio down to 68 pages. And then, we're going to have 35 ads, so we got a little bit more, and down and down and down, you get down to 32 pages. You got 18, 20 pages of ads. You got no content. You've got a horrible product, and pretty soon you're done. That's what I felt, Robert, when I read this, because they've got their growth because of, you could throw out, it's because of Apple and privacy and whatever. It doesn't matter. Right now, they're not growing. And what happens if you want to grow your revenues and profits and you aren't growing your user base and your engagement? Well, you're going to have to sell more ads, and that's exactly what they're doing. And this looks like a horrible experience for people. That's all I'm thinking about. Like, I don't know how you can make this pleasant. This is not good news for people that like Facebook. And I'm scared is not the word, because I don't really care. But I don't think this bodes well for Facebook and Meta at all.
No, it's a little bit like, in the latter days, sort of the decline of the some of the other social networks that have existed and some of the other websites and publishing websites that we've seen sort of decline, how they became just walls of pop-up ads and banner ads and everything. It just became unusable. Right?
Yahoo is a really good. Yahoo. That's what
Yahoo's
happened.
a great example of that.
Exactly.
Exactly. You had the front page takeovers, and where the front page of Yahoo was literally one giant ad with a movie or something like that on scattered across every piece of inventory that you can think of.
Forbes.com comes to mind.
Forbes is another great
current
example.
of a hideous experience. No offense to anybody that works there, by the way.
No, and I think what they're doing is, it's a constant challenge in the world of the advertising business model, which it can be a race to the bottom. You commoditize yourself, right? You get to the point where everything becomes a commodity, and in your desperate attempt to make good on impressions and or click-through rates, you end up sort of offering more and more value, quote unquote, value add to get to that same dollar figure that you used to get to when times were great. And salespeople are notorious for this, where they're like, hey, listen, in order to get this deal for 6 months, I had to give away XYZ, and in order to give away stuff, you've got to have inventory to give away. And so, it just ends up on a per ad or a per real estate basis, you start ending up more and more and more and more commoditized, because then as soon as you make that deal, now the advertiser expects that every time.
Exactly.
And so it's not a good thing. And in the scheme of all the news that's been coming out about Facebook, sort of just suffering and innovation suffering and revenue suffering, and their stock price is taking a huge hit, this is not good news for them, I don't think, even though it's quote unquote more marketing. Now, in the scheme of life, as I've said before on this show, Facebook is still a juggernaut. I mean, it's making tens of billions of dollars a quarter. So this is not predicting the death of Facebook by any stretch of the imagination, but it's a yet another data point in the sort of decline of the I think I saw an article. I did not dive into this any deep, but I think I saw an article recently where Facebook is now going to the government basically saying, hey, we're not big tech anymore, right? We're just this little startup now because, look at our stock price, look at our revenue numbers, look at our decline and everything. And we're not really the big tech giant that we once were. And in so many ways, they're kind of right. They're becoming sort of an afterthought. And so,
well, they're trending. I don't know if you can make that case. They're still bigger than
hyperbole at best, for sure.
Still bigger than TikTok, but I mean, TikTok is your rising star.
That's right.
Which won't be around in a couple of years. I talked about that last time, but
there you go.
Exactly. I got to get that in. I'm totally on this rant about 2 years. TikTok's not going to be around. I just really believe that. I don't know if maybe it's just wishful thinking because I don't want to.
It won't be TikTok, but it'll be something like TikTok. It'll be TokTik or something. Yeah, it'll be. It will be. It won't be TikTok, but it'll be the U.S. version.
Do you
of TikTok,
know I have the URL already taken for this idea. I just haven't done anything with it. And when my friends and we were together, there were drinks that were had, but we actually came up with Boomer Talk. And Boomer Talk is going to be the next big thing because you have to be a certain age to use it. If you're younger, you're not allowed on Boomer Talk. You have to be older. You have to be like AARP. Boomer Talk. Next big thing.
Okay, Boomer. All right. Okay. Yeah, you. I'm glad there were drinks involved in that discussion because if there hadn't been drinks involved, I'd be a little worried.
You're the core persona.
I'm sure I was. Yes, I'm sure my name was brought up many, many times. Yeah, in that discussion.
Yeah, my apologies. The jet lag is really getting to me. Okay.
There you go. All right, let's get to our rants and raves section where Joe and I go off on a little bit of a rant or a little bit of a rave that makes us feel like we owe the SEC $1 million or something that makes us feel like we're feeling pretty good about our marketing and digital strategy. let's see here. Do you want to go first, or
I'm
shall I
happy
go
to go
first? Yeah, I know you're going to talk about Amazon and something quick.
happy-
and mine's relatively quick as
Happy
well.
to go first. So we had a lot of mail as we were gone. Most of it was junk mail, as you would expect. But
We should have a little theme song for that. We should have a theme song for that. Like, we've got mail, we get mail, we get mail in the mail.
I think that you're more than qualified to do that, and we could go through that next time. I received a wonderful print. It's smaller than average size. It's 104 pages, and it's from Amazon. It's from Amazon, and it's beautifully designed. It's called Amazon's Holiday Kids Gift Book. Share the adventure.
Oh, right. They did this a couple of years ago too,
and I love it. It's over 600 toys and gifts. It's a catalog, but it almost comes off as a kid's book, and they have some stickers and some costumes that you can put on that are in here that you can pull out. But basically, you've got all the toys you'd ever want to buy, and I just think that it is amazing. And if my kids were younger, they would have grabbed this and laid it on the ground and just went through the whole thing. But I love that Amazon is using print, especially right now, as most of the stuff being sent is not valuable. Here you get something. And here, I mean, I'm not even the target audience, and I'm looking at this, I'm like saying, because we've purchased some toys, so that Amazon knows that. They sent us this. And I'm just hats off to them for doing it. I know Walmart is investing heavy in print this holiday season as well. I think that's really, really smart. I think launching a magazine right now as a brand is one of the best things you could do if you're sending out something that's of value. So anyways, there's that. So congratulations, Amazon. And regarding kind of my reflections from the road, I just want to throw some things out and get your take on them. These are just no particular order. 10 days of traveling 4 or 5 cities. This is what I got. First of all, we've talked about it. The staffing shortage is absolutely a thing. Literally everywhere we went to eat, every jetway visited, every store we passed through, light on service people, help wanted. It's a problem. The good news is most of the people were pretty patient about things, but everything is taking longer. This is the funny one. I didn't see this one coming, but there's this training issue, because as people are filling these open positions, they're not taking the time to train as they used to. And we've seen this firsthand. I literally rented a car last week where they had no record of me taking the car.
Nice.
I was nice enough to return the car. Yeah, right. But I have never received an invoice. They don't know. There's no record of me taking out the car at all. I'm amazed by this. I actually should. It's a Nissan Altima. I really should just kept it. The third thing, major food shortages everywhere. I'm sure everybody knows this, but it's on the road. 5 different Starbucks I went to. I'm just crazy about my Starbucks. And it's interesting. They show all the food options. They show them all in the window, but most of them are sold out or unavailable, which is weird to me. Right. They still show them, but they're sold out. They don't have them. And
that's less true, by the way, in the bigger cities than it is in the smaller cities. But yes.
Okay. Well, anyways, in New Orleans, it was true. In Minneapolis, it was true. In Raleigh, Durham, it was true. So whatever. Yes. Whatever size. I know you're from Los Angeles, so you're this big city. Your big city.
We're special. Yeah.
And then
we're big city folk.
And then from travel, leisure, business travel, I think we talked about this a couple episodes ago. Leisure travel way up, business travel way down. The occupancy of the hotel that I was in was 9%, 24%, 40% for the days that I was there. The event that I was at didn't have as many people as it did the last time. We've seen this over and over again, but at the same time, the planes are full because people are traveling for fun. They're getting out. They're flying around like it's 2019. So I just thought that you would be interested in my travels from the road.
I think that's fantastic. I mean, I 100% agree with everything you just said, because I've experienced all of that, and more. Hotels right now are broken. they're just broken. They're just full stop. Hotels are, every hotel I've stayed in is broken in some way. The restaurant's not open. The restaurant's only open from 8 till 8:30
or there's no
in the
more
morning,
room service, or
there's no room service, or you have to actually call. My favorite one now is, and this is the one that many of the major hotel chains are trying to turn into some sort of marketing shtick, which is, we're concerned about the planet and we're concerned about the privacy during your stay. So we won't be sending any housekeeping into your room. It's like, no, don't try to bullshit a marketer. I know what's really going on here. You don't care about the planet.
But it's true everywhere.
Care about my privacy.
You will not get your room serviced unless you ask for it now.
That's right.
Anywhere you go.
Well, now, and you may not then either. Truth be told, in Cleveland, I was there for a full week and asked every single day to have my room cleaned, and it never happened while I was there. And and by the way, I don't mean this as a humble brag. I was staying in a really nice room. I was in one of the nicer suites that they have available in that hotel, and never could get it. Just could not. They could not figure out how to do it. And to your training issue, when I would go and speak with one of the very young people running the front desk, they were like, "Oh, right, you can ask us." Okay, and they would literally open up a 3-ring binder and look to the policy to figure out what they were supposed to do. Couldn't find it and was like, "Can I just?" And they would literally pull out a Post-it note and write my room number and my name down on a Post-it note. And I'm like, and I told one of them on the third day, I told one of them, I don't really have a lot of confidence in that as a data management system. So can you just put something in the computer on my name or something like that? And they're like, yeah, we can't do that. I don't know how to do that. It's like, okay.
It is so crazy. So, we had a rental car at the one location at a really, really nice hotel. They said, okay, here's your ticket. And if you want the car, you have to call down first. Okay, great.
Right. That's normal.
Right?
That's
no big deal, right? Call down, no answer. Wait a little bit, call down, no answer. I'm like, okay, well, this number is not the right one. I call the front desk. After ringing, and finally I get somebody at the front desk. I say, I'm trying to reach the valet, whatever. Oh, you can leave the number with me, and I'll make sure they get it. Okay, I left the number go ahead, leave the number, go down 15. Guess what?
My confidence is not high.
Nobody got the number, and then the guy says you're supposed to call down. I said, okay, dude, can I just get my car? Really? So anyways, it's been interesting. Yeah. First world problems.
Yes, definitely first world problems, and hopefully we'll get fixed. What I don't like is where the hotels, especially the airlines, are doing this to some extent as well, but the hotels especially are trying to transform this quote unquote new normal into marketing shtick, messaging. No, don't do that. Don't market me a suboptimal experience as being optimal. That's not.
It might be better off if they said we have a severe staff shortage.
That would exactly be it. That would be much more better, because you totally understand that, right? As a customer, but the problem is that it shows weakness. It shows vulnerability, and it sets you up for the customer not excusing that. Yeah. If you try and position it as I'm sure this is the thinking in the that the agency or whatever, the messaging mapping that's going on here, say, how do we deal with this? Well, what we'll do is we'll have the front desk people tell them that we respect their privacy now, and we're not going to clean their room. It's like, no, that just sets you up for failure, because now you're actually setting it up as a benefit. And when when I say, okay, great, I don't want that benefit, I actually want you to invade my privacy and actually do the room, and then that doesn't happen, now you've got double failure. I
can't even imagine a week of Robert Rowe's hotel room that's not been cleaned. So I can't get that out of my head. Anyways, it is not a pretty sight, my friend. It is definitely not a pretty sight. It's nothing you want to walk into never.
Unintroduced. Never. That's for sure.
Is terrible. So what's your rave?
I just wanted to throw out a quick rave to the team at Content Marketing Institute, especially the research group. They have just this week, Wednesday, launched a study that I have wanted to do for years. And it's basically called Content Marketers, Salaries, Career Paths. And it's all basically looking at the current situation with content marketing and the employees job satisfaction, separated out by gender, separated out by age cohort, separated out by different salary bands for senior levels versus junior levels. And it's just got so much wonderful data if you're in a career in content marketing, contemplating a career in content marketing, or looking to make a business case about expansion of content marketing in your business. It's just got tons of data. And, I'll just mention one off the top, which is content marketers are generally happy with their job. They like working in content marketing. And by the way, most of the people in this survey were at least 15 years in content marketing, which is just an amazing statistic to me. So it's not that these are new people figuring this out. This is a well-worn, understood job that still has no career path. That still in most businesses has no true career path for content strategy or content marketing. The interesting thing was coming on the heels of that, the 58% that are happy with their job is only 42%, because there is no career path, only 42% said that they were sure they wouldn't be looking for a new job next year. In other words, 58% of the people surveyed basically said, yes, for sure I'm looking for a new job next year because I can't find a career path in my current company, or two, I definitely am not sure. I may or may not look for a new job next year. And so when you hear I may or may not look for a new job next year, that means you're totally open to taking a new job. And it's I just think it's a fascinating time, and it's a call to arms for businesses that are looking for retaining talent to put together a career pathing and levels of strata like you would for any other function. Marketing, sales, finance, legal. All of them have very well-defined strata and career laddering in most businesses, and content just doesn't. And so I think it's just a wonderful survey and just great information. And I just wanted a big shout out to the team for putting it.
It's a great report. I was looking at it right before we chatted. Really good stuff. And we talked about this a little bit at Content Marketing World, about some of the best case studies that are out there, people that made the jump. They moved at a certain point.
That's right.
It's very hard. If you're there 5, 6, 7 years and you're still running into the same political blockade, if you will, it's just got to make the jump and go somewhere else. If you want to stay in the corporate environment, sometimes you got to do that.
And by the way, all of the major success stories that we talk about so often, the two current, sort of poster children for great content marketing, Salesforce and Cleveland Clinic, both of them very discrete and formalized career paths for content.
There you go.
In their business. Salary ranges, job titles, the whole thing. So
it's about time. Let's do this thing.
That's right. All right. What do you got this week? Are you still on the road, or what's going on?
I'm not on the road. I am in Cleveland right now, but I will be leaving on the next 3 days are crazy busy with a lot of different things. But on Sunday, I leave for San Diego for Crypto Business Conference. So that's the inaugural event. I'll be talking about the social token business model. So we're going to. It's so weird. We're going to the San Diego Chargers Cleveland Browns game in Cleveland. And then as soon as it's done, probably we have to leave right before we get on a plane and go to San Diego. So that's where.
Wow. All right.
That's where I will be. And what are you doing?
San Diego. We got good weather. You got amazing weather coming up for you. So it's going to be absolutely spectacular in San Diego. So you will have the best time. We are neck deep in client work at the moment, but next week I'll be traveling actually. And in fact, we'll have to figure out our time for recording, because I will be at Marketing Prof's B2B Forum in Boston.
That's nice they invited you to speak.
It is nice. Yeah, it is nice. They like me.
They do. They do.
I'm not sure about you, but they do like me.
I'm not on the marketer list anymore. I lost that title in 2018. Now I'm something else.
Yes. Well, but you're going to digital now, right? That's the key. Is you're digital now. This is, that's the exciting thing. Digital next week on the bus. Digital.
What are you
digital waiting in the parking lot?
Marketing. Are you speaking about
I'm going to give you two
strategies?
Yeah, I'm going to be talking about the consumerization of content. Yeah, that's what I'll be talking. No, I'm talking about B2B content marketing as and the future proofing your strategy is what I'm going to be talking about. Which, of course, as you might expect, has a lot to do with content operations, measurement, strategy,
You
etc.
like that future proof. You've had that in a couple of your speeches before.
I will be quite honest with you. Those are titles that are written for me. Many times the conferences, there are conferences, and Marketing Profs B2B is one of them, that they like to suggest titles to you. Our friend Michael Stelzner at Social Media Marketing.
My title is not
his team.
Right, mine is completely.
His team likes to suggest titles too. So I often just go, fine, yeah, that's great. That's a great title.
So, well, good. Well, all right. We made it.
There we go. Fantastic. Well, that's it. I mean, now you can go to sleep, which is always good. And for the rest of you, in the meantime, till we see you next week, if you want to get all the goodness of this podcast show notes that we talked about, including, by the way, we'll link to the Kim Kardashian thing just if you're interested in reading about it. Just get on over to our website, wouldn't you? Thisoldmarketing.site. Remember, every week I go check that hashtag, and you can check out the sponsors too if you want a good belly laugh. I don't know if it's a belly laugh, but it's certainly a
chuckle.
A Twitter laugh.
Chuckle.
Yeah, a chuckle. And do hashtag us up, won't you? Hashtag This Old Marketing. Give us story ideas. We do love that. And until we meet again next week, wherever Joe and I happen to be on the road, just remember it's your story to tell. Tell it well. We'll see you next week on This Old Marketing.